clearly taught in the Old Testament. It is alluded to, and at least insinuated, in the New Testament. And it's unanimously proclaimed by the Fathers. And it's in every single apostolic liturgy. Let's grant first and foremost that the Old Testament passage that I'm going to talk about is in the Machabees, which the Protestants do not accept as canonical. But let's even just say that it gives us a basic idea for what the Jews at that time did, for how they believed, for what they understood, for how they practiced their faith. So let's go to the Maccabees here. We've got 2 Maccabees 12, 43 through 46. He says this: "In making a gathering, he sent 12,000 drachms of silver to Jerusalem for sacrifice to be offered for the sins of the dead, thinking well and religiously concerning the resurrection. For if he had not hoped that they that were slain should rise again, it would have seemed superfluous and vain to pray for the dead. And because he considered that they who had fallen asleep with godliness had great grace laid up for them, it is therefore a holy and wholesome thought to pray for the dead, that they may be loosed from sins." Okay? So we at least have, even if you don't want to believe that the Maccabees is canonical, we at least have the Maccabees declaring something that was understood supposedly amongst those Jews in the pious Jewish community leading up to the time of Christ. Okay, so it was a practice. It wasn't completely foreign to those who lived during the time of Christ. Okay, the Maccabees certainly weren't foreign to those who lived during the time of Christ. They knew the story. They knew what it was all about. Now, Protestants might like to say, well, that was just one of those traditions of men, and Jesus came to destroy a tradition of man. Well, here's the problem. Interestingly enough, Jesus never condemns the practice mentioned in the practice that was well known by the Jews in the book of Maccabees. He never once condemns it. In fact, he goes so far as to insinuate that it was exactly the same mindset he had. In Matthew 12:32, Jesus talks about the blasphemy of the Holy Spirit. He talks about how the blasphemy of the Holy Spirit is a sin that will neither be forgiven here and now, nor will it be forgiven in the age to come. Now, Jesus wasn't in the business of wasting messianic breath. Okay? He wasn't in the business of playing, tomfoolery with people and playing shenanigans on individuals with word games. So if he said what he said, that there was some sins that would not be forgiven, or at least one sin that we know of, that would not be forgiven in the age to come, the obvious implication is that there is an age or a place or a time, okay, or a state of existence where sins may be forgiven, where sins would be purged. Jesus alludes to this also in Matthew 5, where he talks about judgment, and he says that there would be judgment until the entire debt is paid in full. Jesus alludes to that also in Matthew 18:34. Jesus also talks about punishments with various lashings. Okay, that there would be various degrees of punishment. That certain individuals would receive more, and certain individuals would receive less, and there would be varying degrees. Now, if he was talking about the view of hell as being eternal, which we all agree, Catholics and most Protestants, anyways, agree with that hell is eternal. Then this would make absolutely no sense whatsoever, because the obvious implication is that there is a time when that will be paid. There is a time when some people are going to receive more lashings than another individual for things they have done. I think it would be wrong of us here to talk about purgatory without dealing with probably the most popular passage. That's 1 Corinthians 3, 13 through 15. Let me get to the right place here. Okay, it says right here, "Every man's work shall be manifest, for the day of the Lord shall declare it, because it shall be revealed in fire. And the fire shall try every man's work of what sort it is. If any man's work abide, which he hath built thereupon, he shall receive a reward. If any man's work burn, he shall suffer loss, but he himself shall be saved, yet so as by..." Okay? Now, where in the Protestant scheme of things can somebody be saved as through fire? At least according to this right here, when he's talking about judgment. He's not talking about the here and now. Okay, stick with the context of this passage. He's not talking about the here and now. He's talking about a day and age when some people won't need this, and they're just going to get their reward. Okay, now where is this reward? When do we get the reward? Do we get it in life? Or do we get it in the afterlife? We get it in the afterlife. Okay, so some people don't need purgation. Some people are able to get their reward in full because they lived a life and they were to die in a state without venial sins needing to be purged. They were to have worked out their salvation with fear and trembling to such a degree that they had no more stains that needed to be purged from their soul in order to enter heaven. Because we understand that no impure or defiled thing can enter heaven, according to Revelation 21:27. So it needs purgation. So those individuals, those Christian individuals, who may have had bad works that have been consumed, okay, and have been completely torn up by fire, these individuals are still saved. But they're saved as through fire, as through purgatory.